We're dealing with some terrible news for the crypto sector in large, for those impacted personally, including myself substantially. I've talked about it some before, but there's news. BlockFi officially filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Just how bad is it? Billions in assets, billions in bills, liabilities. I'm gonna break it all down. I've been spending hours and hours just digging through this. Regardless of if you're personally impacted by this will set case law and precedents in regulation in cryptocurrency, specifically in the United States, but also around the world. My name is Voskcoin on the Voskcoin YouTube channel. Be honest, everything sucks right now, but let's keep trucking. No more waiting game and wondering, it's official. They did file voluntary cases under Chapter 11 of the US Bankruptcy Code. I broke a lot of things down that led up to this. FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried, Alameda, which I'm saying that right now thanks to you guys in the comments. It's just crazy. Less than a month ago and just a few days before they just pulled the plug on their actual app, BlockFi, they said there's a lot of action in the crypto markets today, but the products are fully operational. Man, that changed quick. That changed real quick. So this is from their initial filing document, publicly available information. They are live streaming the trial, and you have to be very careful what information you pull out of that. This again is publicly available, used outside of the trial, and we can distribute it in our content here. I'm gonna give you the key takeaways that you need to understand this and get up to speed on it. No fluff, just stuff. Funds will be available for distribution to unsecured creditors. An unsecured creditor is basically all of us users, more or less, if you were lending your cryptocurrencies, your funds, whatever, in that application. They have more than 100,000 creditors. They have more than 100,000 users. Their estimated assets, right? Basically the stuff they have. Somewhere, this is where this form needs to be updated. Somewhere between 1 billion and 10 billion. That's the good news. The bad news is that their liabilities, right? Emphasis on the bill and liability is somewhere between 1 billion and $10 billion. There's three things that really stick out on the top of this list. Ankura Trust Company with a whopping $700 million unsecured claim, as well as FTX US for $275 million, and the Securities and Exchange Commission for $30 million in relation to their $100 million fine, formerly believed to be $50 million. But let's talk about that real quick. The SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, okay, is fining BlockFi, who is now in bankruptcy. Let me just break it down to be real simple, right? And I'm not looking for government, handouts and bailouts or whatever else. A fine is nothing more than just stealing from companies and people, just like personal property tax and your income tax is all theft on you as well. Because guess what the government can do? Print as much money as they want to. Guess what you can't do? Print money. Oh, and if you don't pay your taxes, you lose everything and go to jail. And I'm not saying that BlockFi is pure and whatever else, but the fact is that they were fined. And then they reached a settlement with them, and they were dealing in gray area, unclear waters there. But my takeaway, the point here is that they should return all of the money that they took from them with the clause that it goes to the clients, the apparently unsuspecting investors, users, clients, customers, the people like you and me that were using the application. Otherwise, the government benefits off all of our backs yet again. Again, it has nothing to do with BlockFi and their employees and their leadership team and the investors. It has to do with the users who are now without their funds and the future being unclear and uncertain. And just to make sure it's very clear for anyone watching, I never want to be misleading by any means. Okay, so I thought BlockFi offered a cool service. They were regulated, all this stuff. Based out of the United States, lots of big name investors, some of those with pretty big credibility, right? They approached us to sponsor the channel. It seemed to make sense, right? And I could mine my cryptocurrencies into my account and then instantly start earning interest on it. So they did sponsor the channel previously. And I put my money where my mouth is, unlike many other content creators or shilly influencers or whatever. The fact is that I am absolutely blown up in this situation. My funds were in there. Like a devastating amount. Like I didn't want to talk about it anymore, but that's the severity of this for me. I'm not saying I'm perfect, whatever else, and not your keys, not your coins. We should have lived by the code. But I trusted a centralized entity, and now I'm in a bad spot. And if you're watching this video, you're probably in that same bad spot as well, unfortunately. Obviously, we do not recommend them or actually anyone else in the slightest. Custody your coins in your own wallets or don't have them. That's the mission moving forward. Bringing it back to this list, though. So there's the whole deal. I'll talk about FTX US here in a second, but what most people don't understand is Ankura Trust Company, and I didn't understand it. And let me pull up this screenshot for you. So there is a BlockFi insolvency, bankruptcy support, whatever group on Discord. I will drop the link down to that in the video description below. If you've been impacted by this, could be worth checking out, connect with some other people, talk about it, work on it, make a plan, whatever. This is separate from the Voskcoin Discord server, which I also encourage you to join. Unfortunately, BlockFi froze their Reddit account. You can't post in there anymore. It's done. But I noticed that there is what's called BlockFi Bankruptcy and BlockFi Unlocked. These are two new communities that have popped up to basically give these Reddit users an outlet to talk about and connect in relation to all of this going on. Connecting to some others impacted by this, can make a big difference. A lot of people have lost their life savings or crippling financial amounts. I get that. It hurts. Talking to other people who are in this same miserable boat could make a big difference. It could save a life. If you're severely impacted and struggling and you don't have anyone to talk to, you're scared to tell your loved one, your family, whatever, get on here, connect with these other people, join the Discord server, reach out to others in the comments. Voskcoin Talk is a forum that we have. Go over there and connect. I don't mean to derail it, and I'm not trying to, shameless plug my stuff here, whatever, but the fact is that, this stuff is important and needs to be addressed. On a positive note, though, here, BlockFi has $257 million in cash on hand. This is their money, their funds. It's not customer funds. It's unrelated to BlockFi interest accounts, things like that. Like they have $250 million, and obviously this isn't enough to bail themselves out of this situation that they are in. However, it is a bigger war chest than many other unfortunate companies have found themselves with. In comparison, some names come to mind like Voyager and Celsius, among others that were in worse situations with most likely bigger holes. But this is a rapidly developing story here that we're still, sifting through and figuring out. I think I've gotten off topic like 7 times at this point. Ankura Trust Company represents a vast majority of the BlockFi interest accounts, which is why I pulled this up. Ankura acts as a trustee for BlockFi's interest-bearing crypto accounts according to its website. Furthermore, if you're in a BlockFi interest account, which is different than the wallet, which I'll explain here, and it's all in the same app, it's very confusing, but if you have an interest account, you should be basically 3rd or 4th to be paid out in this bankruptcy case. Important, notable, relatively good news. This is the order that the funds will be paid out if they just basically go straight to liquidation, right? So you see all of these different accounts. 3 and 4 would be those BlockFi interest accounts. But there's something of interest right there. You see BlockFi Wallet, and it's unimpaired. So BlockFi claims they had the funds for all of their wallets, and they sit in a different account, period. They've requested that the judge grants them approval to pay out all of the users' funds that are sitting in the wallet. So when you open the BlockFi application and you see wallet and you see the interest count, you see the different categories, you see the different numbers there. If your funds are under wallet, then they are in the BlockFi wallet. If they are not there, then they are 99% likely to simply be in the interest account, unless you are a private client and you lent them your coins for a specified period of time and you were basically a high net worth individual to them. That is a little bit different and puts you under a different LLC in this situation, to my current understanding. It gets even more convoluted, right? We have FTX US, who have filed for their own bankruptcy, apparently hacked, and funds commingled with FTX International. What a mess. FTX US wants their money back, but guess what? BlockFi wants their collateral back. And they're going after this $575 million stake in Robinhood that Sam Bankman-Fried personally has. Because how did he get this money when he was running a Ponzi scheme? He stole it. And that's not even the point, really. The point here is that this was supposed to be collateral backing this. And basically, SBF's lawyer said, no, doesn't matter. BlockFi will continue to go after this. A big question in the room remains is, will they be able to get this? How long will it take? And this will have a massive impact on the potential hole, maybe even filling it up. Again, we don't know with BlockFi. And what about the $275 million that FTX US wants here? Again, nobody knows for sure. Not going to waste time speculating. The fact is that lawsuit is underway. BlockFi is a creditor to FTX that lent to Alameda, that lent to Emergent, which is a shell company owned by SBF that bought Robinhood shares that were pledged as collateral to guarantee to BlockFi the loan that to FTX that was used to bail out BlockFi itself. Yeah. A key note. Where are all the funds, though, especially for the wallet? Well, the funds are held in custody at BitGo. So we can only hope that BitGo is doing all right, because we've seen a lot of different companies blow up recently. But yes, the funds are supposed to exist, apparently, hopefully be one-to-one. That's how it reads. You know, basically not insolvent, not missing funds, and be held in a third-party custodian. BitGo. When it comes to the wallet, this is how the verbiage reads here from the web archive to make sure that we got the real accurate one. Digital assets transferred to a wallet account are not deployed by them for revenue generating activities and are instead held in wallets they control or with their custodial partners. As of March 31st, 2022, the fair value of digital assets in wallet accounts was approximately $500 million. Silvergate Capital reports less than $20 million in BlockFi deposit exposure here, which is a lot of money, but for someone like them, may not be the case. Bankruptcies have been all over the place this year. Just to recap them, if you are unfamiliar with some of them, Three Arrows Capital really set this off. Not even a week later, Voyager Digital goes down. A week after that, Celsius goes down. Compute North, a Bitcoin mining hosting provider, goes down. FTX Group, Alameda Research, and all of the 100 affiliated corporate entities, Digital Markets just a couple of days later. And now, 2 weeks after this, BlockFi has officially filed for bankruptcy, but they basically went down at the same time when they froze all user assets and accounts and calls. Right now, as I record this, Ms. Vosk is listening in to the live hearing, sending me live notes, and we're probably just going to compile that in another video. I've spliced in all the things that are, breaking, relevant, and important, or just, absolute and factual here. Zooming out a little bit and looking long term, average length of a Chapter 11 bankruptcy case can last 17 months. Larger, more complex cases like we're dealing with especially FTX and also BlockFi can take up to 5 years. A lot of people think about Mt. Gox. Keep in mind, this is an article from CoinDesk from 2014. Mt. Gox files for bankruptcy, claiming a $64 million debt. All right, and this article is from 2018, talking about the court halts bankruptcy, approves rehab. Then 2022, talking about finally restarting the repayment process, which isn't really all that restarted. 2023, will Mt. Gox finally be resolved almost an entire decade later? Wow, time will tell, but the dollar amounts, we were dealing with millions of dollars then that are now actually worth a lot more. You're almost dealing with 1 million Bitcoin back then. Absolutely nuts. But now we're dealing with billions of dollars. The magnitude much larger. But still not any less painful for some of those impacted. So BlockFi doomed? It's hard to say. BlockFi seems to be in a better position than many others in similar situations. They did seem to have better framework, better risk aversion, and just safety tolerances, right? I don't know. I'm almost making up terms here. But I think you understand what I'm trying to say. They seem to not just be so negligent. It seemed that they've made mistakes and missteps and just messed up big time. Yes, but I don't believe that they were basically a Ponzi scheme like Three Arrows Capital was. I don't believe that they were a Ponzi scheme like Celsius was. BlockFi never deployed their own crypto token. If they did, they probably wouldn't even be in a situation like this, because they could be trying to pull off a FTX FTT play. And I'm not saying that's a good thing, but my point is really by saying that is that they didn't go the token route. And that's something that they're actually boasting about in the live stream for the bankruptcy hearing right now. And I'm not trying to sound like, I'm on their side or supporting them. I'm rooting for them to get out of this just for the users. I'm rooting for them to win or at least stalemate, right? So that all of the users can be made whole. Again, I don't have all the data, no one does, but it is all finally coming out now. One of the reasons that they did file Chapter 11 bankruptcy is it protects them from lawsuits. So basically, they just kept everything frozen. People could just start opening lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit and drain them financially and all their manpower with just, lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit. Again, I'm not saying what they did is, right or good or whatever, but we need to understand what exactly is happening, why certain things are being done. At least there wasn't crazy news about them being hacked and losing all their assets right around the bankruptcy filing like there was with FTX. FTX situation has been such an insane train wreck. It makes BlockFi look decent. So, hey, I don't know. I'm hopeful. There's all that $2 billion bailout fund by CZ Binance and all that. We'll see if he's really like an actual hero white knight like SBF was supposed to be, or is CZ and Binance the next Sam Bankman-Fried FTX scandal fiasco? And the question remains for me, does CZ really just run around and masquerade as like some kind of hero while never really bailing out anyone else? And even if they do bail out everyone else, we're going to end up with such a centralized, powerful entity. They already are. What a difficult situation. But that's all I've got today. Thanks so much for watching and tuning in. I hope you're holding up all right. Please don't do something that you can't undo. Deep breath. Buckle down. Hopefully we all make it out decent out of this. It's all we can hope for. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. A quick video from our CSO, our Chief Subscribe Officer. That's going to be Tails. 10 seconds to Tails. We do something every video here on the channel. Making videos since 2017. Going to keep making them. We have a team. We got to keep pushing forward regardless of how I feel and how just honestly draining and negatively impacting this has been for me personally. And again, I'm not trying to act like I'm just the victim here among many other people who are getting just wrecked in this market or by these, companies going belly up, whatever else. So, hey, I appreciate you. I'll see you on the next one.
Let me